Fellas, say goodbye to Chuck Sherman the boy. I am now a man. I highly recommend you join the club. We are doing the wild thing all night.
Acid house music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sherm.
Sherman, I cook all this food. Is that all you gonna eat?
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of house music.
So, do you know anything about techno?
No.
Listen.
Get it on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm. Today is Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. This is episode 106. As always, guys, I hope everybody is staying healthy, staying safe, and staying inside. It is a crazy time to be alive, but we're going to keep it coming week by week with brand new episodes. I am so pumped about this one. I do wish we could have done it in person, but nevertheless, we will overcome. Episode 106 features Greco. I have been following Greco for about 4 or 5 years now, and actually right when I started getting into house music, I discovered him, and he has been one of my favorite artists ever since. We had such a blast doing this interview over Skype. It was so awesome, actually, because he was doing his Twitch live stream where he reviews tracks for his labels, Rawsome and Rawsome Deep, and it was so much fun to be able to interact with his listeners during this whole time as well. So shout out to everybody that was paying attention on Twitch. Greco's got a great story, though. We talked about it all. He's had a lot of success in his career and has a really good viewpoint on the coronavirus and how it's going to affect the music industry. We talked about his come up. He grew up in Long Island, but he's been all over. Truly incredible with his sound and his productions. We talked about his brand and his inspirations. Some people have helped him get to where he's at now, including Steppa. Very reputable guy in the music industry, but Greco has earned his stripes. I want to give a shout out to him for making some time to come on the show. It is such an odd time right now, but I had an absolute blast with him. So let's get into it right now, guys. You can hear it for yourself. This is episode 106 with Greco.
Alright, so guys, this is my buddy Sharon, by the way, from Chicago. If you want to give him a little rundown about, I think the funniest story is how we actually met.
Dude.
We were at Movement.
Right?
That shit was fun as hell.
We met at Movement 2 years ago. I've been following Greco for a long time, man. Probably like 4 or 5 years now. Really since I got into house music. I've always loved your productions, and I was just the type of guy who follows someone on social media, and I remember what they look like. There's like, I feel like with our generation, once you see their name and you see their picture on social media, then you're like, oh yeah, I think I know who that is.
Right. It was funny, man. Like I think it was the hat that I got recognized from a lot. Like multiple people were like, "Yo, I just saw the hat. I saw the logo, and I was like, oh shit, that's Greco." And I'm like, damn. And I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time that was like bugging me for wearing my hat all the time. I'm like, trust me, this shit works. And as soon as we walk in the fucking festival, I get stopped by somebody. Yo, I saw the hat. I'm like, you see? I'm too short to be recognized. I gotta have something going, like, as a like something that stands out. So that was the funniest part, I think, about that whole trip and going to Movement and shit. And honestly, it's been like my favorite festival to like go to. And I didn't go because we played at EDC last year, and it kind of like the weeks were so close together that it became really difficult to like try to figure that out to work, but I'm trying to get back to Movement, man, and everything's getting moved now, so who knows what's happening in 2020, so just gotta take one day at a time.
It's crazy to see. I mean, I think everybody for like a week was waiting to see what was going to happen, and like Coachella canceled, South by Southwest canceled, and then, I mean, Jesus, we were like the day of, we were talking about when we were going to meet up in Miami.
I know, dude. Later
that night, it's like, oh, yeah, this isn't going down at all.
No. Yeah, it sucks because I had a lot, there were I feel like this year in Miami was such a special year.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I didn't really see that kind of, like, excitement around Miami like it was this year. It's like a lot of the younger producers are starting to come, and I had people from like Toronto that I had met that were already planning and had their tickets bought, and like everything was settled. Yep. Like taking a shot at like, going to network and things like that, and it, it was really exciting, but obviously I think the excitement's just gonna roll over to whenever this thing actually does, equal out and fizzle out, and we don't have to deal with this Corona shit anymore. And it's like what Fisher keeps saying. It's like the fucking parties, once they come back around, are gonna be like remarkable. Remarkable.
Yeah, fucking Fish, man. What a guy. He's gonna come out
so much
swinging
fun.
for sure. I think you really said it best before, when we were just doing a sound and video test, like, only the strong will survive in the music industry from this. And that's not to say that, like, if you don't want to work hard to get into it after this is done, that you can't. But with every door that closes, another one will open. And it's going to just have to stir some new sorts of ingenuity and creativity. I mean, it's been crazy to see the live streams.
I totally agree.
That's just been going on, like people trying to do a little differently, improving the quality. I don't know, and it all happened in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's having to be very innovative now.
Very innovative. Yeah.
And I actually had a discussion. I'm just gonna drop your Instagram tag in the chat over here.
Thanks, man.
Why is it on screen share now? All right, there we go. So guys, if you want to follow Sherm, it's right here in the chat. And I mean, this is an interesting time, and it's gonna kind of weed out the people that aren't really serious about pursuing a career in music. Mm-hmm. It's also driving people to practice their passions more now that they're stuck at home. Whether you're a musician or not, it's allowing people to take more time for themselves, more time for their families. Yeah. Like, think of all the DJs that never see their kids or their families right now. Yeah. Although it's a tough time monetarily and financially, but like the value that they're able to like now recognize again, maybe they lose that over the craziness of touring and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I experienced the tour life like on a small scale, and I'm very grateful for that. And it allowed me to kind of test out the waters, if you will. And I was totally into it. I loved every second of it. But I can totally understand now when I see DJs that have been doing this for a long time, and I'm over here like, oh, where'd you just come from? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm all like, yeah, you must be loving life. And they're just like drained and like, yeah, I just came from fucking Tokyo, and I just took a 14-hour flight to Detroit, and now I'm here DJing, and then I gotta go back to Thailand tomorrow. I'm like, and me over here, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so amazing. But from their perspective, they're just like dreading. It's not what we love to do that's dragging them down. It's the motions of like going through security, getting on a fucking airplane, being in a cramped up space for 14 hours by yourself, then getting off the plane, going to your hotel, then having maybe a fucking hour to sleep or shower and go to your party, and then in the morning after you have 3 hours of sleep, you got to go to another gig. Right. It's like you have to be so prepared and really take care of yourself when nobody else is gonna do that for you. So it's an interesting like lifestyle, and I give DJs a lot of credit for that. Like a guy like Fisher, right?
Yeah.
That guy is, I don't even know. Like, how does he do that? Like, he's got always so much energy. It's like people are kind of molded to do these things. Like, yeah, we were, like I don't like to say I was born to do this or anything like that. I think people develop the skill sets to be successful in whatever it is that they want to do. That's kind of why I did music, is like, just to prove to myself that this shit's possible, and I don't have to be Mozart in order to make it a possibility or a career choice. Because I don't pride myself on being like an incredible musician. I just love what I do, and I just want to do that all the time. I want to be around music as much as possible, which I know I can relate to you about, because, the podcasts that you've been doing are, I would say, the majority of them are all based around the music industry.
Yep.
So that's really cool. Like, how's your experience? Like, have you done any interviews with other artists since quarantine?
Yeah, I've done, so it's been like 3 weeks in Chicago now. I've been on the lockdown. I've done 2 other interviews that have been through Skype as well. One guy said who actually, or he said he knew you. His name's Ose. He went to Icon Collective.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Wade. because I put it out yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, dude, Tom's the man," and I was like, "God damn."
Oh, he was just in the chat, I think, the other day. Actually.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. We did a Skype interview and had a great time. I just did one last night or 2 nights ago, and I mean, God, the days are blending together right now. But I'm making do, man. Like I always try and consider myself some sort of content factory, and this has been a blessing in disguise for me because I've had a break from the usual routine, and I've been able to design my days based around tasks that I have to complete. So yeah, it's been different. I'm lucky that I have another source of income with my day job, so I'm not like struggling and trying to support everybody in any way I can in that regard, though.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I give you a lot of credit for doing that because there's not enough people doing these sorts of things that are in the PR or the marketing or promotions of music, and that's kind of I feel like we connected on that level because of that. You've seen what we've done with Spira, you've seen what we've done with Rawsome, and it really just we tried to cultivate something, and because like what drew me into house music mainly, because obviously I've been a huge fan of just music. Yeah. But when I adopted house music, it was like this sense of family, this culture was like there's this built-in culture about the music, and just seeing all these different types of people all coexisting in like this atmosphere was very inspiring. And I was like, how have I been alive for so long, before I went to the clubs and experienced it? Because it's something you have to experience. I think you can show people your tracks on your cell phone or on even on a system, and they just still won't get it sometimes, because it's like you have to be there with the people. A lot of people, I think, get it misconstrued. Obviously the music is everything. Yeah. But it's the people, and people forget about that. Is like, if you don't have the people in front of you, whether it's physically or virtually at this point, what is the music really about? Like, it's supposed to be like this family-oriented thing that brings people together. And when you experience that in a club setting or a festival setting, where you look around and people are just either smiling or dancing or having fun. That to me was like, all right, this is like something really special, because like you don't just see this in the world. Like that's like Mary Poppins shit, and you're walking down the street, everybody just breaks into like a musical number, right? Like it's just far beyond anything I've experienced. Obviously, like we all go to concerts and things like that, but when you're in a club setting or a festival setting with house music, or even just in your own home. Yeah. It's something so remarkable that just captivated me, and I gravitated towards that because I think a lot of us feel outcasted from society, like growing up or trying to fit a certain way or fit into what these, quote unquote norms are for society. And with that, like you just start soul searching, and I think house music is just like such an inviting atmosphere and friendship and family that you wind up like being adopted into, you know what I mean? Like there's so many friends. Like when I was the new guy in Tampa, when I first started DJing, like I just had people come up to me like, yo, like you're really cool, like you're over here dancing and having fun, and like come over and hang out with us, you have a drink, like and sure enough, like all these people became some really, really close friends of mine. And I've been really blessed to be able to travel and create these like really great relationships with people, not only just working with people, but just friendships, like true fans of the music that have no part in the business, but are just there for the music. And that's like, to me, that's so awesome. Like some of my supporters have been there through thick and thin, and have supported me through like the ups and downs of this whole journey, which there are a lot. Like think about it, this is a huge dip for a lot of people, but I think it's really important for guys like myself and you and everybody in the chat pretty much is like to be on your toes and like be creative more than ever. Now is like the time to really think outside the box and do things that might be a little crazy. Like these are all those things. Yeah, all the things in the back of your head that you've been planning out for the last few years that you were giving yourself an excuse. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't have time. Well, now is the time, It's like, so I feel like a lot of people are starting to do that, which is really great. And honestly, like I want to see now what's going to happen within this next year in the music industry. Like what's now like happening is going to pretty much change the future of this industry, like very substantially, I feel like.
Yeah,
just by
production point, live performance, like how people are going to make their money in the music industry, the corporations, the smaller venues that might go. There's going to be so many changes, but you said it best in the beginning, like where there's darkness, there is light. So new things will come out of this, but
crazy. They're literally online 24/7.
Yeah.
Their channel on Twitch does not stop. And there's times where, they'll have a few hundred like right now, but when they do their promotions and they say, oh, we have our virtual concert with all these current artists that unfortunately we can't see live now at this point, but we can still log in and watch these, and people are like raving at home and hanging out and taking videos and still marketing the music and still consuming music just in a different way.
Right.
So
music didn't go away.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I agree, man. I agree, and it's going to be interesting to see. But you're originally from Long Island, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Massapequa.
Nice, man. My dad was born in Queens and Bayside. My cousin.
We got some people from Queens in the chat, actually.
I bet. Shout out New York. Hope everybody's doing well out there, man.
Yeah.
But New York. Like I originally grew up in Indiana, but still having a lot of friends from New York and stuff. It's such a rich music culture over there. You mentioned like having that live experience. Do you remember your first live house show with friends, or what comes to mind when you think, damn, that was the moment where I realized I loved it?
So Sherm was asking me what my my first like live experience as a DJ was, correct?
Yeah, like either like your first experience or like when you went to a show and maybe it was your first house show or something, like what that was like for you and what it might have been.
Okay, so 2 parts then.
Yeah.
The first time, there was like one moment when I went to Ultra Music Festival. I think it was like 2008 or so.
Shit.
And Black Coffee was literally on the lineup, and he was like way at the bottom on a little tiny stage. Like I looked back because I kept the pamphlet that you get with all the artists.
Yeah.
So I wound up keeping that. And I looked back and to check, what DJs were playing. It's always interesting, to see like the come up story.
Yeah.
So that festival was huge for me. I think I just turned 21 or what's the age on Ultra? It was 21.
Yeah, you gotta be 21. Yeah.
I remember drinking a beer, so it was really dope. And I remember like looking up at the main stage and just like having that dream, like that was the first time I saw a production of that size, and I was like, I want to be up there. I'm gonna be up there one day. Yeah, that's how I've just treated it. And it was funny because that kind of sparked that like fire, because like I've always been interested in dance music first with like trance, and then EDM and whatnot. Like or commercialized, like big room stuff. I would say like Sidney Sampson, like the Dirty Dutch stuff, Afrojack, Avicii, even Benny Benassi back in the day. Like those are all big influences on me, and I got to see them live. Even Tiesto live when he was playing like trance back in the day, like Traffic and what was it? Adagio for Strings and all those like classic ones that he did way back. Like I got to see all of those live, and it was super dope. Yo, William, what's good? Thanks for joining back. So that was like the first experience for me, like watching something and experiencing something. Then my first DJ gig was like really crazy because I was living in Florida and I went to a club. It was the only club. It was called Ivory Lounge in Sarasota, Florida. And I went in there and I met the guys that were hosting the parties, and it was really cool what they were doing. They were doing like mashups of like top 40s, hip hop, and house. And I'm like, wow, there's actually a presence here for house music, which is interesting. Because I thought maybe it didn't even exist out where I was because it was such a small town.
And I went in there and I met the guys, and I actually brought my DSLR and noticed, because I was like coming from a marketing and promotions background, I was like, these guys aren't promoting their parties properly. Like, they're not taking recap pictures or videos to promote their next party the next week. They had a Friday night party every week. So I came in there, I started taking crowd shots, I started taking, shots of them and the fans that were coming and the patrons that were coming in each week. And we started developing an online presence that way. And then I was like, hey, I'm making music, and if you guys are interested, here's like a little mixtape. And I literally made a mix on like Magic's Music Maker or something. I didn't even have decks, bro. So I'm like selling myself to these guys before I even had the equipment. And in that span of like a month, I bought equipment. Like 2 CDJ 1000s and a DJM. What was the one that was like for more scratch DJs? It was like only a 2-channel mixer from Pioneer. And it had a wicked effects module at the top. It was like almost touchscreen or something. Maybe not touch, but yeah. So I don't know. It was like it was one of the Pioneer mixers. It was a 2-channel, and I literally learned on CDs. And then I think a week before my first gig they gave me, I wound up like getting Serato. So I learned how to play on CDs first.
Wait, can you say that again? A week before your first gig?
Yeah. I learned how to use Serato. And trust me, the first set was a little rough. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was actually really exciting. I still have a video.
Oh, you gotta send that to me.
Yeah, I have a video on YouTube that I can share at some point of my first gig. And my first stream was actually on Twitch, but it used to be called Justin.tv.
Yeah. And I did my first
like Twitch stream live DJ set at the club through Justin.tv. It's so funny. Yeah, and then after that, I wound up gaining the residency every Friday. After 3 months, I became the resident DJ every Friday of this club because they saw how I was hustling. Just a grind. I was on it every day, trying to get better at DJing. Obviously, my production was really there yet.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was just really into it. I loved everything about the industry, like the recognition I was starting to get for these crazy dreams that I have that most people, like most family members and most close friends of yours, may or may not support what you're doing because they think it's far-fetched. They might not believe in not just you, they might not believe in themselves to be capable of doing certain things that don't seem attainable for most. Yeah, I never let that kind of mentality dictate what I was after. You know what? That actually inspires me and motivates me to do it even more. Is the doubt, So shout out to the doubters out there, the haters. Those people actually are your biggest and the ones that will give you that fire and push you. Because if everybody's always so nice to you, then it's like you get comfortable, right? Like those little like jabs, like to call them, like little jabs, that maybe other producers or DJs or promoters might throw at you.
Yep.
Unfortunate, not really that happen very much. It's a really dope thing at this point. It's a really dope family that we created, and it's become kind of like a bullshit screen, So it it's really cool. So I've been really blessed not to deal with that, but in the beginning, it's always going to be people that are doubting you, hating on what you're doing, because the people don't understand, they might not have that confidence within their own craft or their own careers. So I always said that, like, it's funny because, like, people that are, like, down on themselves, down in life, they also need you to succeed as much as you need to do it for yourself, because notice you doing that, that's going to help them out of their butt. And they're going to probably get pissed off a little bit that you're succeeding over them for whatever reason. It's always personal. You know what I mean? It's always personal to that person. Yeah. It has nothing to do with you. it's really their own insecurities that are being let out. So it's interesting. A lot of people are really getting hurt by those haters out there. And like I always try to tell people, like just put blinders on. Don't pay attention to that shit.
Yep.
It's just a waste of your time.
Yeah, taking criticism is important, and taking it with a grain of salt is probably even more important. I totally feel you, man. And in the beginning, you're going to have a lot of supporters, and then that's when, like, honestly, I think we can all agree when you start to get haters, that means you're doing things right.
You're absolutely right. Because, like, they would be hating on you if you were doing shit wrong, because what they got to hate, you know? Like, it's honestly, you really need those people in your life, and embrace that. When DJ M909, that's what it was, bro. Nice. Rafa Barrios. Yeah, so it was the 909 that I was using back in the day, and then people were like, "Why'd you get that mixer? It's a scratch. You're not a fucking hip hop DJ." Like, I like it though. I like the effects were really cool. They were much better in my opinion. But yeah, that was kind of my background with like my start, and then coming from like that small little club, I wound up networking, and I was going out all the time. Every weekend, I would take a trip north about an hour to go to this club called Jackson's in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
Just to like see what was going on, because it was the closest thing to Miami that I had over there. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that were producing these events, like Pedro M from Tampa, they were bringing a lot of these crazy international talents that Tampa had never seen before. So this is like the thing about this industry and this culture, is that everybody's working together. Even though a lot of people see it as competition and people like, you know, trying to one up on each other, everything kind of works together to make this all work and be sustainable to have a career in, is because of these people, these different people hosting events, having record labels, DJing, producing, radio hosts, all these podcasts. Like, all of these things all gel together and create this ecosystem that we call, you know, the music industry. Yeah. And, you know, when I was noticing like all of these different like companies promoting events, you know, I saw how animalistic the competition was. I was like, this is not healthy, you know, like, you know, people shouldn't be trying to close each other's parties down. You should try to like at least be transparent with one another and hit different markets, not going after the same. But when it's a small market, it's almost inevitable that that's going to happen. But what it did was it cultivated a scene over the last 10 years that grew into this whole thing. And without those people that push these clubs and push the music, so like this is shout out to all the resident DJs that are in the United States and around the world that put in those hours week after week building nightclubs, building culture. And without that, we wouldn't exist today. We wouldn't be able to call this a career if we didn't have people like that, you know, pushing the scene and going through. Because think about it, they went through that big rut in the 90s when pirating was huge. Like the whole music industry just fucking took a shit. And, you know, for people to get out of that, that says a lot. You know, the people that actually overcame that when they were relying on, you know, record sales to as their livelihood, like it's pretty incredible to see some of these people make it out and still sustain a lifestyle and a career within music because of their persistence and their relentlessness at like being a success in this industry and adapting, which is kind of like a parallel right now, is that, you know, we're going through a big recession in the economy. We can't even go out and have events right now for the foreseeable future. It could stretch for the next 6 months. Who knows? Yeah. So right now is really important for everybody to like utilize their time properly, you know, spend time with family and friends like that you can spend with, you know, like just appreciate the small things in life. Like, I think this is really like, you know, allowing people to it's like life was just like the world was the pause button. It's like completely paused. Like it's such a weird phenomenon that's happening right now. Like nobody in the world has experienced this in all of the years of existence. I don't think any, and we're so fortunate to have technology advanced at this level to communicate to you, like, and have a live chat like this.
Yep.
To me, that's really remarkable. And we have to look at that as like the silver lining. Like, yeah, it really sucks that we can't see each other and we can't, you know, go about our everyday lives and continue our work, because I know a lot of people are passionate about their work that they do go into each day. But now this is like kind of reevaluating what the industry is going to be like and the potential of what this new vision is going to be. Like, a lot of people are signing up for Twitch, by the way. Like, I noticed like Golf Clap doing streams now, and they have a huge Facebook group, and I noticed like hundreds of DJs that are signing up for Twitch and that are giving it a go, and that's really awesome, man. Yeah, like, you have to experiment. Like, you can't be afraid to just think outside the box, do things differently. Yeah, you'll get scrutinized. Yeah, you'll get hated on, but who gives a fuck? Like, who cares about what people think of you and what you're doing? Like, it's none of your business anyway. So, I mean, you just go about your own thing and you just wind up like coming out on top every time. It's always a win when you're doing things for yourself, with really no influence from people trying to bring you down or whatever. But dude, it's so crazy, honestly. I mean, I was talking to Rob Small. I don't know if you're familiar with Rob Small. He's a really popular engineer and great engineer out in the UK, and he does all of our releases for Rawsome with mastering.
Awesome.
And we've had some really good conversations lately. Like, he's like, this is honestly like showing who the real passionate people are behind the music. He's like, yeah, there's going to be an influx probably of streaming, but also at the same time, sales, he says the sales might not be affected too much because there's a lot of live streaming. So we definitely want to encourage the live streams as much as possible so that people wind up, you know, buying music and still sustaining, you know, what we call our careers in music. Yeah. So it's definitely like a really interesting time to see, you know, what's going to happen with all this. And he agrees. Like, he loves the fact that people are being he said the creativity of the music he's being sent is like here now. Like, it was here, right? Like tech house and house music, like, you know, obviously a lot of sample packs, a lot of loops, splice, like all these things, right? It kind of saturated the market a lot. And now what he's noticing, and what I'm noticing too on these streams, is we're getting some really crazy submissions. And honestly, like, I totally agree with Rob. Like, there's so much more creativity, and now people have the time to, you know, get more, like, to disconnect from all the bullshit around them, and now just even be more focused on their craft. And that's, I think, what's needed when you do a production in any sort. When you're being creative, you have to totally let go of like yesterday and tomorrow and the future, and the, you know, like, you have to be in the now, in the moment, and none of that can be a factor in your workflow for that session, because it only just distracts you from like your intuition, like your voice inside, like what you're trying to bring out will be unfiltered if you don't have anything else like in the way of you, like kind of blocking that creativity or creative juice that you have that you're trying to put out. A lot of people are saying the same thing. They're like, oh, I'm having like a creator or writer's block, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, take a break, take a walk. We could still walk around, right? Like, you could go outside and, like, you know, just be like, just do things that are gonna let you to inspire you. Like, listen to other music. You know, take a break from producing. You don't have to, like, there's a saying about, like, I forget, it's by Paulo Coelho, like, about how you can train like a horse, right? Like, you're jumping over like these hurdles.
Yeah.
But if you continue to practice, you're gonna fucking burn out and hurt yourself if you keep doing it. I actually had a very similar situation with my knee. I was trying to take videos of me doing flips, and I was exhausted, and I'm like, nah, one more. Sure enough, that's fucked my knee up. for life. Now I have a partial tear in my ACL. So like that's a great example of like don't burn yourself out. When you feel like you have a writer's block, take that, listen to yourself. Like take that as a sign, as an omen. Like that is some shit that's real. Like just pump the brakes, listen to other people's music, have talks with family or friends, like other producers, other creatives. Like those people will inspire you. People around you will constantly inspire you because maybe they're on their creative peak and you're down here on your like come up where you're kind of drained of ideas and you need to like build those ideas up. And use a notepad. These are great. Like don't forget to use shit and write shit down because it really it stays with you when you write things down.
Bro,
so
I'm right there with you.
You have to. I have multiple planners and
writing
schedule.
it down gets it in here.
Yeah. There's something about it, right? Like even type doesn't do the job.
Dude, it's crazy because a lot of people are going to have to go outside their comfort zone and there's going to be some expectations, but I mean, you've done an incredible job of not only branding yourself, but your sound, man. Like, how long has it been since you made your first track and how many tracks have you released at this point?
I don't know how many tracks, but the first track that I really felt accomplished about was on Nervous Records back in 2014.
Yeah.
So about 6 years ago was like my first like reputable release that was recognized, and obviously Nervous Records for a guy growing up in New York was pretty much like a really great day for me, like as a signing. And I was actually halfway through my I'm actually getting some feedback on my side, but I was halfway through my course at DubSpot learning how to produce music, like on Ableton and all this shit. And honestly, it was really cool because halfway through, I was able to say to my teacher, I got signed to Nervous Records. And he actually went through my contract and marked down like all these things in my contract that should get changed. Like, it was just such a blessing, man. Like, that for me was monumental. And it also goes to show that getting some education on production is literally so important.
Yeah.
Because I was self-taught for a couple of years, and I was just hitting a fucking brick wall. I couldn't mix down properly. I didn't know how to master things. My knowledge of the music business also grew by going to school and being exposed to these people that were in it for a long time.
So
there was just a lot of things that you don't learn by yourself, and it's like anything else in life. You always need a teacher.
Yep.
Whether you're trying to be a cook, or you're trying to be a martial artist, or you're trying to be a physics scientist or something. Like, these are all things that you have to learn, and you have teachers for. So like, take that into account. And when you do see these classes from other artists, they're usually 9 times out of 10 really beneficial for you as an artist to learn.
Yeah.
Whether you're an established artist or a new artist, there's always bits and pieces of information that you could take from other people.
Yeah.
That will aid you in the future or with your productions, which is really incredible, honestly. Like, that to me was really important. And when I learned that, all right, like this new music production class is actually working, they actually had me as like almost like they promoted me as like a success story on their website and on their socials.
Yeah,
it was really cool. Like, I love inspiring and trying to be a leader in everything that I do. Even in martial arts, when I was doing martial arts, I would be considered as a leader of our team, and to like choreograph certain demonstrations for either competitions or just live demos for a school or whatever. And I'm like a huge, Ninja Turtles fan, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z. So I'm like, I've always been like motivated, like. I got the Dragon Ball right here, bro.
Oh, my fucking guy. I love that.
So like, those shows only promoted like hard work. Obviously, like being like I'm a martial artist, so I resonated with that a lot. So I always wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. I wanted to be the real like Power Ranger, and it was really cool, honestly. And it just motivated me to like strive for like greatness. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
Never to do anything half-ass either, because if you're not gonna do something with your all, then you shouldn't do it at all.
Absolutely, man. Totally.
Yeah.
And you've always been in my eyes like someone who's done it a little bit differently, like with your actual productions. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I was just somebody was telling me to take the phone away from the Do you guys hear me better now? Yeah, I think it's good now.
Okay.
I'm trying to read the chat at the same time.
We got a lot of people helping us out. Thank you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, in my eyes, dude, you've always had a sound. Your kicks, in my opinion, have always stuck out in whatever way you're doing it, and I'd love to get granular, but do you feel like, what is your sound and how do you make it so? Because Rawsome Recordings has its own sound, Greco has his own sound, but like, what is that if you could put it into words? And I know that can sometimes be hard.
Raw underground house music, like in every form of that too. It's like, I love Todd Terry. I love, like, when I started going out to shows, obviously I was exposed to a lot of different styles, and I went through the motions too, even as a producer.
Yeah.
I started producing minimal techno and shit, like totally different from what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
But like that was my progress and my journey as a producer. Like I went on this like wave of different styles. Like I first started producing, I was trying to make trance. Then I tried making Cascada shit. This is like when I was 17.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I moved back to New York and I started taking this shit more serious. And that's when I was like, I can explain better to my instructor, like, this is the sound I want. Like, this is the style that I like. And even during those times, I was still confused about where I wanted to take my sound. Like, I still didn't know exactly. And I still don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a mystery. And that's what's exciting to me is that, you know, music is a form of art, and it's something that you want to keep fresh and creative, but obviously there will be a lot of like underlying factors that do stay very similar. Like obviously you're saying like the strong drums, strong kick drum, like these things are just styles that I really resonated to the most. And I went to a house gangster party by DJ Sneak at BPM in Mexico. And I think that was when I walked out of a party knowing what the fuck I wanted to be in. Like, I walked out of the I'm a House Gangster party being like, this is the shit that I want to do for the rest of my life. 100%. You know what I mean? Because, like, I went to techno shows, I went to, like, tech house and minimal and, like, every different style. Trance, EDM, the whole nine. But then going to this party and then coming out of that House Gangster party was, honestly, it was so amazing. And like Basement Jacks played, even like Carlo Leo, Dubfire played, obviously Sneak, Doc Martin, and like I've had the pleasure of seeing them as a fan, as a true fan at these parties, like looking from the ground up. And then to my most recent like big networking experience, which was living in Ibiza for a summer, and like. DJ, I'm in the booth with DJ Sneak, and he's passing me the blunt now, and I'm like, "What is actual life right now?"
I didn't know you lived in Ibiza. That's awesome.
Sneak just passed me the blunt, and I'm like, I was so excited for something so stupid, but it was just like for me, it was so special. Like Josh Butler's in the booth, Caleb, who was it? Caleb Calloway. Jesse Perez, Doc Martin, all these guys. Yeah, I'm very like reserved when I'm in a booth with like these legends that I consider. Like I'm never like fanboying super hard. Like I respect the boundaries of people and like just chill. Like just be you. Don't, you know, like you could obviously say hello, but just make sure it's at the right time. Don't bother a DJ when they're about to get on and fucking spin their set. They want to be in that mode, you know.
Right.
They don't want to have a conversation for 30 minutes about your journey as a DJ or your love for them. Like, just give them a quick like fist bump or whatever, and then you can approach them maybe after this set when it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So for
That's
me,
awesome.
honestly, like that was when I knew my sound. I was like, this is a really great sound. Like the vibe of the party was incredible. Honestly, it was just like the whole atmosphere. People were dancing from start to finish too. I take notice to that. I take notice to the energy of a party when coming from Chicago, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you got great clubs, and I feel like nobody gives a shit. Like, people will dance no matter what, and that's what I love. I love dance culture.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like the younger kids are starting to shuffle and do all these different styles of dance that also cultivate our scene and are a big part of our scene. Which is super cool. Like, I love all of it. Like, I love every part of it. Like, hula hoopers, shufflers, people that are into fitness and just getting into this stuff. Like I notice a lot of people that are into fitness love dance music because it pumps them up for the gym.
Yeah.
Even when I go to the gym and I'm like wearing my Rawsome hat, they're like, "Oh my God, is that like a raw foods brand?" I'm like, maybe one day it will be. So, I mean, it's kind of funny, bro, honestly. But, for me, it was definitely, like, a mixture between, like, the legends. I really have a lot of respect for and a lot of admiration for the guys that came before us. And I think me being 32, I have a bigger purpose now also to kind of share that sort of knowledge and that experience with people coming up so that they know where it came from. Whether or not you want to fuck with it, you should still know your history.
Absolutely.
Like, you come at me not knowing who Todd Terry is, I'm gonna educate you. I'm gonna fucking lay the truth down.
Yeah, man.
And that goes for a lot of guys, you know, like even Calvin Harris, for example. Everybody knows Calvin for his like big pop records, but a lot of people don't know the David Guettas and the Calvin Harrises from the past where they're making dance music, like really good shit too. And it's great to see that they're finally coming back to that.
Dude, they are.
Like, if you notice,
Love Generator, yep.
Yeah, Love Generator, Eli Brown. Eli is just, he's going to blow up from that. That's a huge opportunity.
And he was already like up here, you know.
He was already, in my opinion, like top tier. Production is
absolutely
bar none, like so good.
Top of the top. You know when like the top of the top start collaborating with these guys, you know, the Seratos of the world and so on and so forth, Lee Fosses and
wild,
stuff.
Bro.
Yeah, man, but that's so cool. I couldn't agree more with that. You know, if you look at David Guetta's like main stage ultra set, he's dropping house and techno and saying we're going back to the club, and he started off as a DJ at a gay club in France.
Exactly.
I'm all about the history of that too, man. And a house has always gone like this, and there's all these trends that go up and down in the music industry. But like house is finally hitting that axis with popularity. I mean, I was gonna ask you about like your refixes and remixes. Like you just did the box, right? That's the #1 viral hit in the world, and I'm seeing a lot more producers like yourself bridging the gap between streamable and pop and radio friendly with club hits. And I think that like you're doing such a great job of not only picking great songs that you resonate with, but what will work well in a festival or club. Do you like pick certain songs for a reason, or what's like the inspiration for remixing a track?
It's literally that. It's whatever inspires me, like in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right. So the most recent one is Rick Astley, the Rick Roll.
Just like 2 weeks ago, right?
Right. Like I'm playing Fortnite, right? Like last month, and they licensed that record and the stupid little dance that he does for an emote with the video game. So like now you can make your character on Fortnite dance to the Rickroll, right? So I'm like, so of course I buy it, I buy it, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this would be like such a great time to remix this, like fuck it, let's do it. And that's just how it works. Like I learned really early on by doing the remixes and the refixes, reworks, whatever.
Yeah.
But free downloads, more importantly.
Yep.
have been pivotal to my success. That's literally one of the biggest things, or when I look back at what the steps were, or what got me to where I'm at now, is 100% like those free downloads, like getting recognition from DJs that I would have never caught the attention of if I didn't do a Music Sounds Better remix, you know, which winds up getting picked up by Low Steppa and pushed on BBC, you know, like those kinds of things could have never expected, but it was purely out of joy that I was doing those remixes. I was like, I love this track. I hear it differently in my head because obviously it's like a little bit of an oldie. Yep. Like I want to bring it up to date, you know, so we can play it in the clubs. Yep. And they just they're perpetual, bro. Like those remixes still get downloads to this day. Like people are still discovering me through these like little free downloads that I did, and they don't take very long. They take a couple days at most. Sometimes just usually a day or two.
You've got your template then, huh?
It's not even a template. It's like every remix is different, but I guess I have like my workflow at this point. Like I know my sound. I have like my certain drum samples that I would like to use for certain records. I've got this beast behind me, which is like my go-to drum machine now, which is the TR-8S by Roland. Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's literally, I make every track with that now.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, you've had so many great releases on very reputable record labels. I mean, you mentioned Nervous, right? But you've had Strictly Rhythm, Tool Room, Sweat It Out, Country Club Disco Man, Get Drunk. That track fucking bangs, by the way. I was fun, man. I had a big show a few months ago. I was opening for Sheba at this Concord Music Hall, and I had that track on there, and I was like, I know exactly when to play this. It was like 10 minutes before they went on, and dude, it just like hit so hard. So from like DJ to DJ, like you make tracks that DJs want to play, and I think that's, you know, obviously everybody wants to make tracks that other people will play, but your music is very playable, which I think is one of the greatest parts about your productions. So I just wanted to acknowledge you on that. But I wanted to ask, I mean, other than maybe Nervous Records, are there any releases that have meant the most to you, and why?
They're all really special, man. Like every work of art that I put out is you have to treat it special. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to treat any release any differently from the next, because you should take it with the same passion, the same energy and excitement as you do for any other one. Yeah. I will say this, Strictly Rhythm for sure is like a monumental milestone for me personally, as a producer, as a DJ, like just as a music consumer. Strictly Rhythm is just a pivotal like benchmark of a record label that's influenced this industry. Whether you want to see it or not, they were a huge part of this whole style of music becoming popular and being brought to light. So yeah, like that one, Simma Black was a huge one because I busted my ass to get on that label. I snuck backstage to meet Low Steppa at Warehouse Project in Manchester. Like I talked my way backstage.
Move your body, right?
Look, Low Steppa hit me up. Like I'm on his label. Like meanwhile, I was not on his label yet. Like he just had started playing my Music Sounds Better release. Yeah, and I had demos that I sent him like a month or two ago, but he hasn't listened. And I'm like, fuck, like we gotta go even further.
You're a salesman, dude.
I'm with my boys in Manchester, and I'm like, yo, just follow me, follow my lead. Because, like, I'm used to being in these settings, and not only was I DJing every Friday, but I come from a radio background where we used to produce events when I was, like, 17, 18 years old, working huge events. Yeah. From the ground up. So, like, it was funny because I'm like, all right, it's all about confidence. You walk in there, you act like you belong there, they're not gonna question you. So I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like talking really quickly. So like, and showing her the phone, like, this is Low Steppa, me and him talking. I'm like, I'm just gonna be right backstage, me and my friend, like, I just wanted to say hello, and he invited us back. Sure enough, the lady let us right in.
Hell yeah.
And we got backstage, and I like gave Steppa a little pound, and afterwards we got to talking. We took a picture that I have on Instagram. It's like fucking years ago at this point. Awesome. It was so funny, man. But Will is one of my best friends in the industry, and he's been another, like, you'll meet these people along the way on your climb up.
Yeah.
And you'll notice the people that really believe in you and that promote you and like push you. And Will was like, Steppa was a huge part of that, man. And I can't thank him enough. And he knows how grateful I am for the opportunities that he gave me. And like, we still talk to this day and still keep in touch, still support each other in what we do. Like, it's just really cool to see those people. Like Kenny Dope is another one.
Yeah.
Todd Terry is another one. Like, they both put me on their record labels, which is another like huge milestone for me to be just recognized by guys like that.
Yeah, man.
It's really, profound for me as an artist. So I take those like really. I take them like I'm very proud of those, and you got to be proud of like your accomplishments. And right now, I'm really proud to say that like I'm going even further at developing this branding, and I'm going to be opening up another label, hopefully by next month, for more listening music stuff that I've done with wave artists or hip hop artists that are completely outside of Rawsome.
Okay.
And I want to be able to showcase that in a way that's kind of untouched. Like, I was like, Ultra Music was interested in these records, Insomniac was interested in the records, but they had little critiques about them,
right?
Which I was down to do, but never got back to me. And at that point, I was like, do I really want to compromise what I feel comfortable and like happy and proud about, or do I want to conform again, which was like my whole fucking beef about not working for other people.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm like, all right, we're just gonna open up another label and try something new, just for my own self-releases though. This is just like, just to have a platform for myself for these random collabs.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Those are I'm really excited about because they really flirt with different styles. They're with totally different artists from house music, so it's my way of being even more creative now, which is kind of like the whole purpose of what I do is just to kind of just be creative and have fun. Like, some of the fun was drawn away from producing tech house and house music for me for a little while, because it became, think about in 2017, 2018, for me personally, those years I was cranking out records, like cranking them out because it was a hot year or two.
Yeah.
Then it came to a point where things slowed down a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling the need to be more creative and more outside the box. And, it takes those little projects to kind of, when you have writer's block or you're not feeling a certain way about a record that you're producing, sometimes you need to just go even further outside the box. Like, just maybe do a trap beat, like produce a hip hop beat or something, or a drum and bass beat. Like, expand your portfolio and try to expand your sound in a sense, and like diversify a little bit, because those records never see the light of day from me. I've made liquid drum and bass before. I've made like future bass tracks, but like they'll never see the light of day because they were just there for like purely for enjoyment and for myself to experiment and to kind of see what I can do with these different styles. Mm-hmm. And you learn from those, and you can take those techniques and those teachings and that thing that you learn into your house productions. Yeah. And that only creates even more diversity to your sound that will separate you from, the vast majority of what's being produced now. And it's only getting more difficult, like there's more younger kids. We got a producer in our chat that's 11 years old from Tenerife, Spain, and he's killing it. I'm about to sign him. I'm like, put your mom on and your dad on the line.
Dude, because there's no barrier to entry for them, right? Like, when you were growing up, when I was growing up, like, I mean, you were talking about the mixer you first had, right? Like, these guys have access to DJ equipment, and then they have access to audio produce and sound engineering and, like, everything about music production earlier than we ever did, and it's just because of the times that they live in, and it's crazy.
Right. There was no schools for us back then.
There was no schools, and now there's production schools that you can go to, and YouTube University.
Online.
I mean, yeah, like
YouTube is even just as good sometimes. Like you gotta dig a little bit, but YouTube is if you're really like tight on money, YouTube is one of the best platforms you can learn from. People are always trying to teach on YouTube, so you can take advantage of that.
Or like what you're doing, man, with these Twitch live streams, like that's invaluable, man, and I commend you for that, for taking the time to help out the little guys. Like you were there at one point, and you had mentors, like you said. So, you know, the more guys we have in the industry like you,
paying it forward, man. Yeah,
paying it forward, bro. I mean, Rawsome Recordings, though, man. Let's talk about that for a sec. Like, when did that come to fruition? And you know, you've come so long. And now you have Rawsome Deep, and now you're talking about another record label. Like, you've got a lot of visions for a label, and it's not easy to run a label. What is like the overarching goal that you try and, you know, always hold yourself accountable for with the label?
I think what we started was Spira, right?
Right,
so Spira was like pretty much the Rawsome when we opened it.
Right.
And it was like our platform to kind of showcase our tight little group of producers at the time. This is 2014.
Yeah.
So this is literally when I was first getting signed to my first release on Nervous. I started being inspired, like, I'm getting denied from all these different blog sites to promote my music or to promote anybody's music.
Yeah.
I just want to create something of my own to really facilitate that need of sharing music that I enjoy.
Yep.
Over the years, obviously, we had better plans of attack, we had better promotions and marketing and whatnot. And as the level of productions got higher and higher, and I only wanted to make a real label, because Spira is a promotional label. I wanted to make a real label at some point, but I was actually only going to do it when I attained success. Mm-hmm. When I felt like I was a successful DJ and producer, that it would be much easier to open up a label, because then people are already following you and will adopt your label that much quicker because you're already a success. That wasn't really the case for me. I had small little successes, and through Spira, Spira inspired me because we were getting so many great submissions. I was like, I guess now is the time.
Yeah.
And as I was starting to formulate that, I had that record B in the background, produced, done. Just sending it to like Low Steppa and Sonny Federa. And I sent that record to Defected, Tool Room, Kenny Dope, everybody. Everybody passed on it because they didn't know how to get the license. They're like, I don't know, like we can't really deal with that kind of like that workload because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I wound up just saying, fuck it. There's the start of Rawsome. Like, here's my opportunity to start the label. You know, like we've got all these great submissions. I got like a really tight family that we've started creating. Like, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, I started doing some free downloads to kind of develop the label, get some awareness going.
Sure.
So that by the time in March of 2017, we had a nice following and some awareness to push the records.
Yeah.
That fucking track just took off. And then with Clank Kunstler, it was like, then it took a new form. So it was really totally unexpected. And think about this. If somebody else signed B, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have been as successful as I am now. But I'm very grateful for those denials, because that's what drove me to open my own thing.
That's awesome.
So for that reason, I'm very grateful for the doubters, the haters, the people that don't want to support you in a way or do the work for you. You have to do that work yourself. It's like, you can't let other people, you can't rely so much on other people sometimes. So this was a really good example of that. And it turned into a huge, like, I can't imagine what what my career would be like right now if that all didn't happen right there. And there's just like, it was just a very spontaneous thing. I say awesome a lot, so I'm like, I like Raw House and awesome, Rawsome. You know, like it was just like a weird, like it all just fell into place. Like one of my best friends, like I still have the sheet of paper, back to the paper, writing your ideas down. Literally had an idea of a boat party or a party series in New York based around our new Rawsome brand.
Yep.
And it was just wild, man. Like, honestly, like, I just tried to stay on the cutting edge as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Rawsome, the main label, took its own form after a while because we just became notable for a sound, for that tech house sound, that big club bangers type sound. And in the beginning of Rawsome, we were pushing more of that Rawsome Deep sound. But at the time, it wasn't really as accepted, especially on Beatport. It was mainly a track source thing.
Yeah.
And like guys like Chris Stussy, for example, were producing on like Large Music and styles like Seb Jr. and things like that. Like that was a really popular style then. But the only guys that were pushing like these new deep minimal tech sounds that I'm really liking now were only vinyl only. Like they were only producing vinyl. And it was so upsetting because I was like, I really want to get you guys on.
Yeah.
But you're telling me no. I can't do anything about that. and the people weren't buying. I was losing money every release in the beginning of Rawsome. Literally almost every release lost me hundreds of dollars almost. Yeah. So like it was like I was working a 9 to 5. Then after I got off of work, I would go to school in the city, and then I'd come back and then go to work the next day. But in the meantime, I was trying to fit in any time I had to develop the label. My lunch breaks during work, I was doing Spiro releases.
Yeah.
Like, it was a grind, bro. It was literally a grind. Work, school, and then the side jobs with all the labels, and then traveling on the weekends to gig. It was the hardest working year of my life. I think it was like 2015 or so when I moved back to New York, 14, 15. But that shit was, you know, like if you're in that that part of your life where you're grinding really, really hard and you're at your breaking point, just don't quit, because it's always right where you're gonna break that things start to, you know, start working out. Like right at that point, it's, you know, it's like right at the cusp.
Dude, I feel that, like, on so many different levels. I feel that, like, in my life right now, too, you know? Like, I'm doing the day job, I'm grinding, I'm doing the podcast, make my own music, DJ gigs, I manage a few artists, the whole shebang, right? And I know that this is tough, but that's how it's supposed to be. This shit ain't supposed to be easy. And those little victories, right? Like,
you don't want it to be easy. Then
no, you don't.
There's nothing special about it. You know, you have to work hard to attain these goals in life, whether it's for music or anything else. You know, if you want to get recognized, then you got to take the time and do it right and be persistent and hardworking, and you have to be resilient in this industry. People forget.
Persistence
and I feel like artists don't get enough credit, you know what I mean? For the amount of rejection that we experience in a lifetime as artists, to continue on that path shows a lot of character.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way when people are looking into your story and they're like, all right, now I'm a producer. Now I understand what other producers go through, and I can relate to that, right? I can have empathy for those situations. But when I tell people those rejections, you can turn that. You can spin those rejections into a success story, just like it would be.
Yep.
And just like I've done with a lot of my records, like it's honestly, you know, you just got to make what's happening right now in the world is like turn those lemons into lemonade. As cliche as that sounds now, it's just like it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Or you could just sulk and just cry about it and get nowhere in life. Like honestly, it's up to you. It's really up to you.
Yeah, man. Well, props to you and Rawsome. Like you've built an incredible label behind yourself.
Well, I've got incredible people like yourself supporting us to thank for that.
Yeah.
And without people like yourself supporting us and the artists and the fans and the DJs, everybody that supported us, that to me doesn't get overlooked. Like, there will never be a point, no matter how big I get or how big the perception of me becomes, I will always still retain that same sort of attitude towards this whole thing that we do. Like, it's very special to me, and I want to make that very. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I want to make that that obvious for people, so that, because I'm an approachable person, I feel like, and I want that to always be the case.
Right.
A guy that I've had a recent experience with was Pasquale Rotella.
Yeah.
The guy that runs Insomniac.
Right, of course.
I met him the first time in the VIP bathroom at EDC Las Vegas that I played at last year.
Yeah.
And it was such a weird experience because we're in the bathroom. I pass him like we're both washing our hands after we took a piss. And he's in there with his boys, like, just shooting the shit. And I'm washing my hands, I grab a fucking napkin, give him like a paper towel, right? Like, out of respect. I know who the fuck you are. I know you don't know.
Bathroom attendant.
Sure enough, I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna so I wait for us to exit the bathroom after we wipe our hands, and I say, hey, I didn't want to bother you, but thank you so much for putting this event on. I'm playing at the Wide Awake Art Car through Joe Wiseman and in rotation. I was like, you're a true fucking inspiration, man. Like, I look up to you in so many ways, like how you've developed such an incredible thing. Like, what do you even call that? Like,
I don't know.
It's complete culture, man.
Culture.
Like,
It's a culture.
He's literally created something so remarkable out of literally just being an avid fan and crazy enthusiast behind underground music and dance music. So for me, these are the people that I aspire to now. Like, I'm looking at guys like Destructo as well.
Yeah.
And what's Destructo's name? Gary, right?
Yeah, Gary.
So Gary is another one, and I watched multiple interviews with these guys, and I'm just blown away. I'm literally blown away. Like, I thought my workflow was pretty tight. I can't even hold a candle to these guys. Like, I need to. It's so crazy, but like this is kind of the thought process I have now and the aspirations that I have now. And we're actually about to host a music festival this year, but with all that's happening, we're pumping the brakes on that. And luckily, we dodged a bullet because we didn't really invest a crazy amount of money yet into any of the bookings, and that would have been a huge deficit for us as the first time. And most of these festivals are rescheduling for later on in the year, like in fall, which was going to be the time of our festival.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? You can have 2020. I'm gonna give it to you guys. And luckily, our acronym, like our tag, is OMF 20XX.
Okay.
So it was like, dude, like one of my partners was like, oh, why don't you do 2021? What the fuck is 20XX? I'm like, the year is unknown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. You did not pigeonhole yourself,
perfect.
bro. Yeah. You guys
got really
have
lucky,
2020.
man.
Yeah, I mean,
lucky.
2020 in regards to whatever happens with festivals will definitely be determined by the major players, the Insomniacs, the Live Nations, the big boys, right?
Yeah.
But that's just the world we live in, man. I mean, but you mentioned EDC Las Vegas, man, and you've done so many awesome things, so many great shows. Like with all your music, it's giving you great opportunities. Festivals, venues, clubs all over the world. I mean, ADE had a Rawsome event. You played in Gibraltar. Like, what the fuck? I can go
It's
on.
wild, man. When you start, this is the thing. When you're a DJ, it's very hard to market yourself to the world economy, to the market of the entire world, right?
Yeah.
House music is a shot heard around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you go in the world, there's some sort of presence. And that, to me, is really remarkable. That's something that doesn't really happen very often. Not even in certain sports will translate to different countries that well.
Yeah.
So, in that respect, like, being a producer helped my name branch out to these different countries, these different cities. Like, that's how me and you connected, is the fact that I was making music and these tracks were actually hitting you know, all these DJs from around the world. Like, I'm very fortunate to have had a lot of successful tracks when it comes to either free download, or when it comes to B or Get Drunk or the Strictly Rhythm thing. Like, those are all real monumental releases for me. So it's incredible how far, like, you may not think it at the time that you're making your records, but the possibility of reaching millions of people is there. The tools are there for you to utilize to hit those numbers, but it's up to you to do the work to figure out that code. Like, it's like literally you're trying to play a video game, right? And you're trying to get to the final fucking level, but you keep fucking hitting a wall, and you're like, shit, like, what's the fucking strategy guide say? Oh, you gotta jump over this way, go on. Like, there's a system to success, I think, and it's obviously a lot of hard work, but you have to be very diligent in the way that you go about these things, and be very persistent and learn as much as possible. Like, knowledge is power. Like, you really want to learn and soak in as much as possible when you're going after anything in life, whether you want to be a DJ or not. Like, you just have to be a master at your craft. And it's really awesome to see the come up stories. I think we went through another thing on another stream. Somebody had a question about pulling older music, like pulling music from their catalog, because it doesn't resonate with their current sound. I have a little beef with that. Not only does it, like, take time out of my day to have to take music down, but it will also, like, kind of erases your history and your come-up story. If you don't have anything to show in the past, like, there's no personality, there's no character there.
Absolutely.
And me personally, I love to see the transition from, oh, let's listen to this guy's track, like, first record, and then, like, let's hear his current stuff. And wow, like, big improvements, you know what I mean? Most of the time you'll see that or hear that. That to me is really important. And then another side of that is, like, you have people that do appreciate that music that you made in those times and could be really special to them, and without having that music there, you might lose fans.
Good
People
point.
might be like kind of salty about it, you know? So there's really no detriment in keeping your music up there. There's nothing that's going to hurt you about doing that. And I think that's what people overthink. It's like an artist thing. They overthink, oh my God, somebody's going to hear my old track and they're going to judge me. They're gonna degrade my quality or my talent. They're gonna say, oh, he's not good or she's not good because this sound isn't current. But like, go to your current stuff and you're pushing your current shit. What the hell does it matter what you did in the past? So it's an interesting thing, and I noticed it from a couple DJs, not only DJs in our market, but also in hip hop. There's people that I follow that have pulled their older catalogs because they're like, oh, it's not what I'm about now. But yo, that's what you were about then. That's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like that's a true testament of how you were feeling at that time. It's like a time capsule.
People want the story, man. Like I was
the story.
I was breezing through your stuff today, man. You've been releasing tracks for a long time, and it was really cool to hear. I mean, and you can be as big as someone like, you know, maybe more mainstream like Jaws or Calvin Harris again, to bring him up, dude. If you listen to some of his first shit, like, I can't remember what the album was called. But, I mean, that made me love him even more because I got an idea of what it was like to be Calvin Harris then and what it's like to be him now. And
Cascade 2 is a great example.
Oh my God, Cascade's probably a better example.
Some of the best, like true house tracks back in the day. And like, think about it for a second. If he deleted those from a catalog and didn't have that for you to listen to, you know, like how are you supposed to know that this guy was like an OG, triple OG? Like, then it's like, wow, like it wows people. Like, especially the newer people, they're like, damn, you know, like, Calvin Harris has been producing for so long. Okay, now I get it. You know, now I see the transition. Like all the hate lash that happened with Guetta. You know, like that was a big thing. Like people were just hating, and all that did was made that man even more rich. Like all the hate, all the memes, all the fucking Tomorrow World, like,
Yeah.
videos of him spacing out. That just lined his pockets. That's all it did.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy how that can all come back to you in a positive way. And there's something to be said, as cliche as it sounds, it's all about the journey, because we don't know the destination. You can make that goal, but you have to enjoy the ride along the way, and that goes from keeping your story out there to the world. So I'm right there with you, man. I couldn't agree more. Like, if you listen to the first episode of my podcast and you listen to this one right now, it is a lot fucking different. And as much as I'd like to say I don't want to hear myself then, the production, my rhetoric, all that sort of stuff, my confidence, it's important for me to go back just for myself and say, you've come a long way. So,
right.
You
have to remind yourself, give yourself credit, guys. Honestly, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
That's, you could be your own biggest critic. That I totally agree with doing. Like, you should definitely be hypercritical of your work.
Yeah.
But don't dwell on that, or dwell on the failures, because in this industry there's no such thing as a failure.
Yep.
There's only progress. And with every production, whether it gets signed or not, you're learning and you're getting better. So you have to treat every piece of art that you do or that you take as like a learning experience that's gonna teach you something at the end of it. So I mean, it's just part of the come up, and you just gotta really just like embrace this sort of lifestyle, because there are gonna be a lot of downs. There's gonna be tons of rejection.
Yeah.
There's gonna be days that you're gonna fucking wanna just quit. Like, you're not gonna make a lot of money. You're gonna be like thrown up against the wall a lot. You're gonna get confronted by a lot of people. Like, these are all things that will mold you into a stronger human being, like a stronger individual. That will eventually blossom into this flower, right? Like, boom, like you're a fucking multi-million-dollar world-traveling DJ or producer or whatever.
Yeah.
That is the end goal. But even once you attain those goals, if you're hungry, you're just going to still keep innovating and still stay ambitious and try new things. Like, once you get to that point, all I'll be doing is philanthropy. I'll be fucking donating money and influencing this world in ways that I've always wanted to, like, that's the kind of people that I like to push into the spotlight. And when I see that happening, and I see people like Pasquale Rotella doing all these benefits, Beatport, for example, hosting their charity event when this all started and raising $160,000 within a 36-hour stream or something. That is remarkable. That shit is historic for me, because I've always done charity work when I was in martial arts, and then as I've gotten into music, the money's so tight that it doesn't allow you to do a lot of that, but you can still do it. I've still done charity work with music, but I want to do a lot more of that. And we were actually going to do that with the festival as well. We were going to have like a gaming portion of it, where we're going to do like a live stream here on Twitch with some of the artists playing games and doing live streams with professional gamers and doing like an interview as you game, which I think is kind of fun, because you get this unadulterated version of the artist when you're playing a video game. It's like almost like the Hot Ones interviews where they're like forced to like eat the hot wings. It's that, to me, is like you're getting a raw interview that way by like putting these like big, huge celebrities on this platform where they probably wouldn't really react the same way if they weren't dying on the inside.
Dude, it's so funny, and I like just like the Truth or Dab is so funny as well. I mean,
Truth or Dab? I haven't heard of that one. That sounds more my style, though.
I feel you, bro. Yeah, no, they have the hottest hot sauces. I'll send you the link for the one with Dylan Francis and Diplo, but it's so funny. But it's I
love those guys too. Dylan and Diplo, they're just awesome fucking creators. Like, Dylan's a hilarious fucking guy. I've seen him DJ.
He's blown up because of things other than his music too. Same thing with Diplo, right?
Yeah, they're such big personalities. Diplo is on his own like world. Like, dude, he's like, I'm so glad that him and Skrillex did work together a bunch, because I do see them so similar to one another. Like,
cultures.
obviously stays more along the lines of like our style of like EDM umbrella.
Yeah.
But now Diplo's going into like country and, you know, like totally dominated pop, you know, like
How's
same
Higher
thing with
Ground label
Skrillex.
too? I mean, he's doing it all.
Oh, Higher Ground now. It's super dope.
It's
So
dope.
like Diplo just keeps creating.
Yeah,
He just keeps doing it.
He's finding ways to make himself uncomfortable to generate creativity within himself, right? I mean, to have Lean On
Yeah,
with
that's
Major Lazer.
that's a really good insight. Very good insight.
Yeah, you have to.
Constantly putting yourself in these situations that you know you're uncomfortable with, but you know your attitude and yourself enough to know that you're gonna be able to spin it in a way that's gonna be fun and marketable and just a good quality product.
Exactly, man. I mean, it's like with Hot Ones, like those people are in situations where it's not their usual song and dance, right? And that's when you get the best experiences for yourself out of other people. And I see that happening in music production more and more now too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's great, man. Honestly, like I think aside from the tragedies that are happening around the world, and obviously we can do our part to kind of minimize that and be able to, you know, like lower that curve right now, because it's really important that we do our part, because, you know, this shit's just gotta go, obviously. In the meantime, yeah, we're gonna make the best of our situation, but ultimately, like, we gotta get back to what we're used to and what like, and all that's gonna happen is we're gonna have a better grasp on life. We're gonna have more appreciation for our lives, for our freedom, for literally just being able to go outside and see a friend or hang out or go to a club or support a festival. Any of these things are going to be, like, people are just going to see it. It's the awareness and consciousness, I think, as a human race is actually, like, elevating now. We're going to be on a different, like, on a spiritual level, we're going to be on a different frequency now.
Yep.
Because this tragedy, think about all the tragedies that happen in the world. Of course, it's really terrible. But after that, everybody unites in a way that's like very inspiring, and it's heartwarming to see. Even though there's a tragedy, there's always like a real underlying factor of that unity that comes from these tragedies that brings people together. So right now, it's a really interesting time. It's an interesting time to see what will develop after all of this happens. Like, think about it. People are going to be like post-COVID-19, you know, like you're going to tell your kids, oh yeah, like back in 2020, we thought life was, we were riding on our high horses and a fucking virus came out of nowhere and just threw a wrench into our whole lifestyle and our whole being, our whole existence.
Yeah, man.
Of just fucking operating as businesses or creatives or anything. Just having a normal life is completely changed now. People are more aware of their health, which is already something that's been, you know, like in the last 10 years, I feel like more and more people have been taking care of their health, their well-being, more so than in the last 20 years, with all the products on the market that were actually detrimental to your health because of FDA or whatever being relaxed, or, you know, certain products not really getting the testing that they should have, you know, being approved when they should not. Like, you're ingesting garbage most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's also going to play into a role now after this thing. Like, people are just going to be on a different wave, you know? Like, everybody's going to be, like, everybody right now is practicing what they really want to do in life. Like, and if you're not, you're figuring it out. You know, you're taking this time. Sometimes you need the time to chill and not do anything and just reflect on your life. Because, like, the last year in Toronto, I was literally there just doing music. I was posted up in my condo, just living my life, loving my life, and doing everything that I loved. And through that, I reached other goals that weren't there in my head prior. Yeah. Like, there are new things, new ventures, new things that I'm going to start executing very soon because of that downtime that I had. I didn't gig as much. I wasn't producing as much. But the gigs that I played and the productions that I made were more significant to me and meant more to me than just cranking out fucking 30 records per year.
Right.
Instead, I did like 10 with more attention to detail.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So
that comes with maturity and understanding what you want in the future. And, you know, we hustle so much in the beginning, and that's when it's most exciting. And then you take a step back to realize, like, all right, I've done a lot of the hard work. Now, how am I going to make this a long-term thing and not wear myself out, right?
Sustainability is very important in this industry. We all think we're going to live forever, but
No.
you know, our bodies aren't going to do that. We're organic human beings. Like, we have to take care of our bodies, and if we're traveling and doing gigs and not taking care of ourselves, you will see that in DJs. Look at Avicii, bro. It was so sad to see this, like, the state of his health after touring relentlessly like that.
Dude, he looked like a prison victim. Yeah, like a prison victim.
He looked like a victim of the conglomerate like brand that Avicii became.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't him after a while. It became this whole product, you know? And obviously that happens with huge artists and branding, but he needed to, I think he was so passionate about what he did that he didn't want to let people down.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
like, and I can totally relate. My first stream on this, I did 7 hours, and afterwards I felt like I was dead. And I'm
That's
like,
a long time.
no, but I wanna make sure I don't, you know, make anybody feel left out, or I want to get to every demo. Well, you can't make everybody happy, and like, it also just promotes patience. But with the Avicii story, it's like he really just needed to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
You know, like he needed one of these situations to happen prior to his untimely death. Like, that was, you know, something that he needed more than anyone. And I think maybe a lot of artists might find themselves in these situations because the money's so good when you're traveling and DJing that it becomes like, it's like clockwork. You just continue doing it. You keep eating your shitty food. You don't have time to work out. You don't get the proper amount of sleep.
Yeah.
You're constantly drinking. You're constantly smoking. Like, there's a lot of things that we just oversee and we don't pay attention to as we're younger and then we're coming up. And then as I hit 30, like, I took my Australian tour. I did Asia. Like, I did like literally like a really heavy like tour schedule for about a month.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, how the fuck do these people do that for like literally a whole year?
Yeah.
Like, where you're not home for more than a week
It's
at a
lonely,
time.
man.
Like, maybe you only even get to go home for a week out of like the 3 months that you're on tour. It's really crazy, and I feel like everybody doesn't see that part of a DJ's lifestyle. Everybody sees us in the light where we're
Glitz
like,
and glam, yeah.
we're at work, we're having fun. I'll be damned if you ever see me in a club or DJing with zero energy or zero passion. I take every gig and every party that I go to, even if I'm not DJing, you'll never see me standing around.
Yep.
You'll never see me sitting.
Yep.
Ever. Like, that's what I do. That's what I'm about. Like, I like to influence this industry in a positive way. And I choose to do that. Even when I'm not feeling it, I will push myself to do that. I will be the last one on the dance floor.
Tom, you do, man. You do, like...
And the first one on the dance floor, too. It's like, there's a lot of pride in that, bro. I'm sure you're the same. Like, I'm sure you go out to the clubs nice and early to catch certain DJs that you want to see.
Absolutely.
And then I'm sure there's been a lot of times where you stay till the very bitter end when there's fucking 5 people on the
Lights on, baby.
Yeah. There's something special about that.
Yeah, there is.
I used to be like, yes, I'm still fucking here, guys. I'm going to go die now in bed for the next day, but that was totally worth it.
I love that, man. I want to ask you, and this is one of my last ones, and you're a great person to ask this question to, obviously, with all your experience over the past 10 years and really getting into it. There have been so many changes in the past decade, and now we're in a new decade, and obviously with the COVID crisis, this question may even be more different, but what do you think is to come in regards to where the music industry is going to go?
I think it's already kind of shown foresight that a lot is going to go digital with VR and things like that.
Yeah.
Like being able to like put on a headset and feel like you're in a concert.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like maybe not for every DJ, but think about this. Let's put Carl Cox or some legendary DJ like himself at a legendary, like, let's say he DJs at the Taj Mahal, or at the fucking Coliseum in Rome, or like, let's put a monumental, like wonder of the world, right?
Yep.
And now you have this headset. Obviously, nobody can go to this place, like the Forbidden City or something. You know, it's just something crazy.
Yeah.
Space. Put your virtual reality, goggles on, like you're playing your video games, but now you're transported into the party.
Yeah.
That's what I've talked about with some friends in the past. And, this is still like 5 years ago when we were thinking about this, and it still hasn't gotten there yet. But going back to Fortnite, there was a Marshmello concert that they hosted in-game for 15 minutes, only twice, and generated 10 million plus viewers. That, to me, I'm like, when can I DJ the next Fortnite concert? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I see the music industry going. Obviously, there's always going to be a place for live events. Like, we love getting together and feeling that connection between people. That will never go away.
Yeah.
Live art is just live art. That will live forever and will be perpetual in our existence. As for the technology advancing and the way that we interact and consume music is going to change. It always does, and it always will. Think of how we went from, playing vinyls to cassettes, and then CDs, and then MP3s and waves, and now we're collaborating through different platforms online through Splice, and now we're live chatting, doing, demos on Twitch, and there's already virtual concerts I see promotions for, like Insomniac and Made Events and Mad Decent, and all these guys are doing live events now virtually on Twitch. And I was already under the impression, like a year ago, I was like, I really want to start doing live streaming. I want to start doing gaming streams or whatever, because I just always game. I just wanted to kind of test the waters in a sense, which I did last year in Toronto. And this year I was like, what better time? You know, like, I don't think I'm going to be able to tour right now. I had to cancel things that we hadn't even announced yet. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to continue doing what I do and keep expanding, and now try something new. Yeah, I might fall flat on my face. We might not do so well in the beginning, but that's how everything is in the beginning. It's a new experience. You have to build it, and you have to stay persistent. So that's what I'm trying to do here on Twitch. And honestly, the music industry, it's just, I love it so much, because especially our thing is because the music always stays fresh. Like, there's always new producers all over the fucking world that are innovating new styles and meshing new styles with one another. And these streams have actually opened my eyes and ears to that again, because Rawsome was always like, it was just done internally. Like, I would sign people who are my friends that we were working with, like Spira before. Rarely I would check the demo email and like go through it, because I never even listed the demo email. I can't tell you how thousands of demos went to the wrong email. To my info email, if you've ever sent me a demo to my info email, I never checked it, because it was that email is there for business, not for demos. And I get it. It was the only email that I listed for people to contact us. So obviously I knew people were going to send demos, but it was a chance. It was a shot in the dark if I would open up that email. And sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. But now with the recent demo streams, like since last year in Toronto, I've opened up the demo email. And this is a totally new experience for me, because now we're allowing for more opportunity for people outside of our circle to become part of our family. And it was overwhelming at first, honestly. Like, it's super flattering how many demos we do receive, but it's also overwhelming for a sole proprietor like myself to go through all of these demos, on my own time too. So like, it's not as fun as it is as doing it live on Twitch. Like, I actually have a lot of fun, and it's becoming really joyful for me to come on stream and talk to everybody that's a part of our family or trying to get onto Rawsome. It's just giving a more personal, I guess, like, relationship with everybody in the chat and everybody on Twitch and people that are signed to the label. It's been a great way to also promote our releases as well. I mean, it's just, there's so many plus sides to doing these, and I have to thank you also for coming on stream and doing this right now,
dude. Of course,
because this is the future right here. Like, this is, like, honestly, like, where I see this industry going, at least for the foreseeable future. And I don't see it stopping after this all goes away.
No,
I bet you $1 million Insomniac events and all these big brands are going to continue doing streams after this is all over, because now they see the potential in what this world is about. Like, now people are starting to understand that. And it's just weird that I chose to start doing this a year prior, you know, but just kind of just dipped my feet in. Like, I didn't really go all in with it, but, you know, it's like anything else. You got to just test the waters a little bit and then, you know, just dive right in.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I love what you've been doing, and thank you for the compliment. It really is humbling for you to say that, but, like, I'm such a big fan. Chicago loves you, bro. Like, seriously,
I love you guys, bro.
I know so many house DJs that love your shit, and they're so excited about this. But I want to end again by acknowledging you. But what's the rest of the year hold? When we talked earlier, you said you were already planning on locking yourself up, making music. What's the schedule for you?
Yeah, the schedule is busy, man. Honestly, it's funny that my schedule has just gotten busier, and
same.
Yeah, with all of this that's happening, it's only gotten even more busy.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think this year is going to be 100% about the music.
Yep.
150% all about the music, because now we have another platform to release music, like with Rawsome Deep. Obviously, Steppa is really starting to gain a lot of traction with our Spotify campaigns.
Awesome.
I mean, these are all things that I'm actively, like, practicing and doing myself for my own personal career, like my own solo career.
Yeah.
That I know works, and I'm offering to other people. So, like, that's also building. That helps sustain my income, and all that money goes back into the labels and all into this thing anyway. So, like, I think reinvesting the money that we make and the funding, it's just, you know, it's what I've done since the beginning, and it's the only way to really grow your brand is to invest your money and your time into that.
Yeah.
And don't make a boatload of money and go fucking buy a boat or a car. Like, I would never dare to do something like that. Like, that would be so foolish to do, you know? Like, invest your money properly and invest your time really properly, because it's going to pay off in the end. Like, those dividends will pay off.
Yes.
But for me, it's really all about the labels right now. Steppa, Rawsome, and Rawsome Deep. And obviously, I have a couple of my own productions coming out on a new label called Greco's House.
Okay.
So it's the self-titled, kind of a place for me to just be me and not give a fuck about any styles or whatever. Like, if you appreciate it, awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. We got other places for you to exist and to support. So with this, it's more of a personal journey with Greco's House. It's something new. I'm also developing more of the music festival branding and the vision behind that. I've also started, or in the midst of starting, a wave, trap, and hip-hop collective called The Wave Stage. That will be our second stage at the music festival in conjunction with the house and techno stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's really important to have that contrast in music, because there is a lot of great music being produced, and I'm noticing a lot of underground music from this style, this wave style of music, and it's super inspiring, man. Like, it's really keeping me in great spirit lately, because this is listening music. It's more of, it's not really like, it's not music that you really hear in the club very often, and it's really producer focused.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm digging for, like, these really innovative, like, sound design wise is incredible. I actually have a playlist that we started building called The Wave Stage. So it's really in conjunction to the music festival that we're we're curating right now and organizing, but obviously we're putting the brakes on events. We had a New York City boat party for June 26th that I didn't even get to announce, but it's June 26th. It's literally in 2 months. So I can't really say what's going to happen in the future, but I'm praying things go away soon.
Yeah.
Because we have our 5-year anniversary in Amsterdam this year for the boat party, for the Rawsome boat party.
In October for
at
ADE.
ADE.
Yeah.
So I'm really like I said, like we all have to practice that, like social distancing and just do our part and just try to be safe and smart. And, you know, God willing, we get back to what we love doing, and we get to, you know, like start going to events and producing events again. Yeah. So right now it's all about these demo streams, like Wednesdays and Thursdays and Sundays. And then honestly, just being very creative right now, just constantly creating, thinking of new ideas, not really being afraid to think outside the box right now, because think about it, everybody's trying to be funny and creative right now. So like, just highlight your assets as a human being. Like, what makes you unique? Like, take that uniqueness and show that to the world. Like, no matter what it is, people will appreciate you for who you are. Like, don't try to be like everybody else. Just like highlight what you are about and like really focus on those things that you pride yourself on. You know, like maybe you're a great artist, or maybe you can fucking twist your tongue 8 different ways, or like, you know, like random shit. Like, and try to like be creative with those talents and those assets that you have in life. Like, focus on the good. Don't let the fucking crappy shit bring you down. Like, honestly, just stay positive. Try to stay as optimistic as possible in this industry right now, because we always overcome. Like, we always prevail as a race, as a human race. Like, we will get through this. Like, this too shall pass. But like, it's really up to us to like do what we can right now, because we don't know when we're gonna have time like this ever again in our entire lives. You know what I mean? Like, we're so one-track minded, especially coming from Chicago or New York. Like, we're just like, we're focused, man. Like, yeah, you can't fuck with us when it comes to focus. And like, we lose focus of almost our happiness in those things. Like, we forget to do things that are really important to us that we overlook when we're just so busy with life, you know, because we're just so busy as creatives or as human beings now. So we really have to just like, it's cool that life is kind of putting everyone on a break, involuntary break pretty much, because we have no control over this. And I just want to say a shout to like everybody in the medical field and in the service industry that still has to go to work and kind of risk their lives every day to, you know, keep the economy moving and keeping people healthy. So shout out to anybody in the medical field right now, just doing their thing. It's really incredible. It's inspiring us too, knowing that we have people like them out there, you know, for the greater good. You know what I mean? It's pretty wild. Like, they're these heroes. I love these artworks that are being made with like, you know, nurses depicted as like angels and shit, you know. It's because it's so true, you know. It's a true depiction of what they're doing and what they're risking for us as a human race. And as, like, think about it, no matter what fucking religion you are, no matter what country you're from, what color your skin is, everybody's being affected by this, and none of that will protect you from getting this virus. And it's sad that that's happening, but it's also opening people's eyes about like segregation and racism and all these underlying things that are from a past civilization and a past mindset. Like, these are all consciousness that were like so far in the past. Like, we're in 2020 now. We're in the future. We're living in the future, and there's no room for any of that. And back to house music, that has always been one of the most important things and important factors of our industry, is acceptance and respect. And I think, you know, there needs to be more of that in the world. Like, people like us in this industry. It's honestly really incredible. Like, we should be world leaders, bro.
Greco for Prez. I'll take VP, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't know about president, man. That's a tough role to play.
President.
We got enough dealing with over here in the Rawsome world. You know what I mean? So, dude, I mean, thank you so much for jumping on stream. It's been so fun to catch up, and honestly, like, I'm really excited to finally get to like link up again in the future.
Me too, man.
You know, kind of just like reminisce about this whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
like, I think there's gonna be a lot of great music that's gonna come out. I mean, we're signing bombs, like the best music I've heard so far with this label.
Awesome.
And that goes to that says a lot, man. I mean, these are all new artists that I have not been exposed to at all.
Great.
So these are new artists for us. I've never heard of some of these guys. We have an 11-year-old from Spain that's producing incredible music. Like, there's so much happening right now that it's almost overwhelming, but it's an overwhelming, like, excitement, you know?
Yeah,
it's nothing negative.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. I mean, you can thank me, but it really is my pleasure. I'm such a big fan. And I just...
Bro, I'm a huge fan of yours, too, man.
Thanks, bro.
I'm really glad that you came up to me and said hello at Movement. Like, that... Those moments perpetuate in life, bro. That's like a connect for life. Like, you're a friend for life because of that, so I appreciate
Absolutely,
you,
man. I got so much respect for you and everything you do, especially after this conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time, and thanks to everybody who watched and tuned in and supported.
Yeah. Everybody should give him a follow, my man. Sherman the Booth.
Yeah, baby. And this will be out next week, so we'll send it out to the people. But I really do appreciate it, Tom. You have a great day, man.
You as well, bro.
All right, homie.
Take care.
Peace.